Hello everyone, in this video I'll be explaining you the problem up-down palindrome. This was asked in Codechef starter 249. So you're given integer array A of length n. You can perform the following operation on it. Choose an integer x, then for each index I from 1 to n, um, if a of I is lesser than or equals to x, then you have to add 1 to a of I. Otherwise, you need to subtract 1 from a of I. Okay. For example, let's say if a is 26343, and if you choose x to be 3, so in that case, the array becomes this thing. So don't worry, I'll tell you this. Okay. You can perform this operation at most once. Okay. You can either, don't perform the operation, or you can perform the operation only once, but not more than once, like 2 times you can't do it. But you are free to choose whichever value of x you want. Is it possible to turn the array A into palindrome by performing this operation at most once? Okay, so they're asking if we can, make sure after doing the operation at most once, the array becomes palindrome or not. So note that the array A is called a palindrome if and only if A of I is equals to A of, it should be n minus 1 minus I. It should not be n plus 1. I think there's a mistake here. Yeah, for each I from 1 to n. So we have test cases. For every test case, we have integer n denoting the size of the array, and we have in the next line we have n elements a from 1 to n, and we need to print yes if by doing that operation um, there is palindrome. So okay, let's go to iPad and see how can we solve this. So the problem name is up down palindrome. So in the problem, what they've said is we need to, uh, they'll give an array A, okay? They'll give an array A whose length is, n, and we have to choose an integer x, okay? And once we choose the integer x, um, we can do operation on the array at most once. Okay, the operation on the array has to be done at most once, meaning even if you don't do the operation, it's fine. Means don't do operation, or else you can do operation once. When you're not doing any operation, so in that case definitely x will not be choosing. um, this will be a case wherein you're all, the array A is already palindrome. I'll tell you. Let's say example, we are given an array 131 whose length is 3 and array is 131. So in this case, as you can check, the array is the array is already palindrome. I think all of you know the definition of palindrome. Palindrome is basically if you read the elements from left to right and from right to left, both has to be same. So if you're reading from left to right, what it is 1 3 1. And if you're reading from reading from right to left, it is again first we have 1, then we have 3, and then we have 1. So definitely both the arrays are equal, so it's a palindrome. um, in other way around, what is palindrome? Basically whatever element they'll give, let's say this is palindrome because uh, The above thing what I've right now said, read from left to right and right to left, it will be same. The other way is like you need to check the first element and the last element. Okay, both are same. So it's a palindrome. We can't say it's a palindrome because it may happen that in middle it is not equal, and second element and second last element has to be equal. Okay, and this element since it's not pairing with anyone, so it's a palindrome. Okay, so I think you have understood when you don't need to do operation in the case wherein the array is already palindrome. In that case, you don't need to do any operation. But what if you have an array like 4, 6, 7, 8, something like this, right? So if you check now, these two are not equal, these two are not equal, so it's not palindrome. Since it's not a palindrome, so we need to do one operation. Can we do two operations? Not. We can't, because in the question they have said already we have to do just one operation. So when we are doing one operation, so we need to choose X. So how do we choose X now? Is the question, right? So I think so far so good. You guys have understood. Let me, take some example. 3, 5, 4, 6. If you take this array, n is 4 here, and this is the array. So can we make sure ki after doing one operation, this is palindromes? Because when you're not doing any operations, these two are not equal and these two are not equal, so it's not a palindrome right now. So we need to do one operation. Definitely we'll have to do one operation. Let's choose X. Okay. For simplicity, I'll be choosing X equals to 4. Okay. When I choose X equals to 4, uh, in the operation, what they've said is, okay, when you're doing the operation, so what operation you'll be doing? Okay, let me tell you. When you're doing operation, now what you need to do? So when you're doing operation, first thing first they've said is choose X. You have to choose X, which is integer basically. And once you've chosen X, for all this I index, which is from 1 to n, here they have taken 1 based indexing. We need to check a of I. If it is lesser than equals to this chosen X, then in that case you need to increase a of I to a of I plus 1. Basically one increment you will have to do. Or else if a of I is greater than x, the other case, so in that case you need to decrease that. A of I will be a of I minus 1. This is the operation that we should be doing. Okay, I think I've understood. So when you're doing operation, first thing first, you have to choose x, and after choosing x, you need to do these two operations. I mean, for all index, for all elements of the array, you have to, make sure these two conditions holds good, and you'll be doing the update operation. Okay, so now since we are doing one operation in this example, and as said for simplicity, we are choosing x equals to 4. For each element, we will be doing the operation. So first element is 4. So check if 4 is lesser than equals to 4, which is true, right? Because it is not less but is equal. So what you need to do, you have to increase by 1, a of I by 1. So let's increase it. So the new array is gonna be we are increasing, right? Yeah. And the next element is 3. If is 3 less than equals to 4, true, so we have to increase. This will be 4. Now next element is 5. So is 5 lesser than equals to 4? It is false. So 5 is greater than 4. Then you need to decrease the uh, element. And then sixth one, last element we're taking 6 is lesser than equals to 4. No, 6 is greater than 4. Yes, so you have to decrease 5. Now since you have chosen x equals to 4, your array, after doing one operation, your array looks like this. And as you can see, the array is palindrome. Okay, so now the question comes, how do you, choose optimally x? In order to choose optimally x, we have to understand certain things, right? Um, okay, in order to understand those things, let me take some array. See, when you have array of this kind, which is already palindrome, you'll be checking first and last element. Their difference is 0, right? Their difference is 0. And last is fifth one, so you don't need to consider that. Now, the question comes, right? You have, let's say, array, something like that. Something like this you have, right? So, in order to make sure these two elements are equal, I mean, the position 1, 2, I'll take one base indexing only. So it is, I'm taking indexes 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you need to do is A1 should be equals to A4 you'll have to do, and A2 is equals to A3. This thing you have to do it. Now, in order to, make sure this one, since right now both are not equal. I mean 5, A1 is 5, which is not equal to 7, which is A2. So in order to make sure it is equal, what we'll have to do is we'll have to increase this and we'll have to decrease this. The reason being, if you decrease this, is going to be a lesser number. If you increase this, it's going to be greater number. Again, it will not be equal. But what if you increase it? If you increase this, it's going to be 6. And if you decrease this, it's going to be 6. So it is going to, make sure it is equal. So one thing you'll have to understand, any pair you are taking, right? In the palindrome, whatever pairs you'll get, their difference has to be 2. uh, Not greater than 2, not lesser than 2. If the difference is 0, so that is good. You don't have to worry about, because they are already equal. So we don't need to take care, which is the case here. But if they're not equal, we have to make sure those two pairs are equal. So in order to make equal, since in the operation they have said you have to increase the element just by 1, or you can decrease the element just by 1, depending on the x value. So definitely one you're increasing and one you're decreasing, which means in the middle you're having basically two gaps, you can say. Okay, it's like this thing 5 and 7 we have. So since the difference is 2, you can make sure you can choose x is equal to 5 or x is equal to 6. In both the cases it is going to work. When you choose x, sorry, x I have taken, I should have taken this a and b, or we can take a1 and a4. So when you've chosen x equals to 5, your a1 is lesser than equals to x, so a1 is going to increase, and your a4 is greater than x, so your a4 is going to decrease. So your final A1 is now 6 and final A4 is now 6. And similarly, if you choose x is equal to 6, the same thing happens. Your A1 is lesser than equals to x, so your A1 is going to increase, which is 6, and your A4 is greater than x, so your A4 is going to decrease, again it is 6. From 7 it is decreased to 1. So one thing I've understood right now, the difference between them has to be 2. If what if the difference is, let's say 5, you have element 5 8 and 3 5 you have, this is the array. When you're comparing, in order to make palindrome, when you're doing this pair, now you can't make these two as equal. The reason being, let's say you have chosen here x is equal to 6. Okay, so if you have chosen x equal to 6, this element is going to increase by 1 and this element is going to decrease by 1, and and they're not equal, right? So yeah. And what if you have other way around? You have, let's say, 3 5 and then 6. Now it is not a palindrome array. These two elements, you'll have to make sure it is equal. Again, which element you're going to choose now depends. I mean, when you choose x equal to 5, this element is going to increase, this element is going to decrease. So again, they are not equal. But for x equal to 6 also, what we can do? X is equal to 6 also, if you choose, um, both the elements gonna increase. Since already they are not equal, and if you're adding one to it, again it will not be equal. And if you choose, x is equal to 4 or something like that, both elements is going to increase, so again they'll not be equal. So I think you have understood the main thing. First thing first, if any element, okay, so this is the array in general having n elements. So if we need to check if a1 is equals to a of n minus I, right? In general, this, if you take a of I, if both are equal, so you need to move to the um, other index. You'll be comparing, let's say, array 2. Okay. Now if a of I is not equals to a of n minus I, in that case you'll be choosing x. And what are what x value will be choosing? First we'll be checking the difference. If the absolute difference of a of I minus a of n minus I, okay, is equals to 2, then your answer is possible. Which means uh, it is possible, but we need to, test it out. Your answer may be possible, you can say, may be possible. Because there will be other pairs uh, where you can have, the difference greater than 2 or lesser than 2, or even if you choose particular x based out of these two index, the other indices will not hold good, which means it will not be equal. So that's the reason. So if it is equals to 2, we can say answer is possible, answer may be possible, so you need to choose x. And I just showed here x values will be two values will all be there. Okay, and two values is basically the minimum of these two and the middle value, right? So, and if the difference is absolute difference is not equal to 2, so absolute difference not equal to 2, in that case definitely you don't have answer, so you have to print no, right? So I think you have understood. So we have two possible x. uh, let's say we have got index I and n minus I. If you take zero based indexing, it's gonna be I and n minus 1 minus I. This I'll be telling in the code, don't worry. So if you get index I wherein these two index elements are not equal, so in that case uh, you'll be choosing x. And what the x values will be, there will be two values, x1 and x2. One x value will be minimum of a of I comma a of n minus I, and the other x value will be middle of those value. You can take this thing a of I plus a of n minus I by 2, or you can make sure ki x1 you have got already, so x1 plus 1 if you do, the other x value will get. So once you have chosen these two values, make sure you do the operation on the array and check if it is palindrome or not. So I think you guys have understood. In the contest, I had chosen the only middle value, so that's the reason I was not able to solve. But yeah, x1 is the one which we need to take care. I've got one example wherein, let's say you have this is the example, right? So I was choosing from middle. So here I had chosen like x is equals to 5, right? When I've chosen x is equal to 5, the middle value, I mean 4 plus 6 by 2, if you do, it is going to be 5. So that's the reason I've chosen. So in that case, what will happen? Your this thing will increase, this thing will decrease. Now let's do it. And when x equals to 5, this value is going to increase. And since x equal to 5, this value also is going to increase. And it's not a palindrome. But ideally, this array we can make palindrome. How? If you choose x equals to 4, what will happen is, then since it is lesser, so it is going to increase. It is equals to, it is going to increase. It is greater, it is going to decrease. It is greater, it is going to decrease. So as you can see, this is palindrome. So that's the result. Both the x values will have to choose and do the operation. So let's go to algorithm. How should we do it? So our algorithm is gonna be, we'll take a loop. I will run from 0 to n by 2 minus 1. Uh, just n by 2 we can take. Okay. And we'll check if the a of I is equals to a of n minus 1 minus I. If it is equal, we'll have to continue. Okay. If they are not equal, you have to check the difference. Absolute value of a of I minus a of n minus 1 minus I. Since it is zero based integration, that's the reason n minus I am taking. If the difference is not equals to 2, so we'll have to print here. The answer is not possible. Answer is not possible, no, and we have to simply return. The other way around, since we have got the difference is 2, so choose one x. So your x is gonna be minimum of a of r gamma a of n minus 1 minus I. And when you come out of the loop, you've got x value. Now you should be checking, um, check for both your x1 uh, x and your x2 is gonna be x plus 1. And for both the cases, make sure you do operation and check if it's palindrome or not. So don't worry, I'll be telling you. Let's code it up. So let's see the input. We have test case. So test case I've taken in this position. For every test case, I'm calling a solve function, and we have length of the array, and yeah, and we need to choose the. I'm just taking the inputs. Now initially let's choose x is equals to minus 1 value, right? First thing first, you have to check if this vector of I is equals to vector of n minus 1 minus I. If both the elements are equal, pair, simply continue. else we need to check the absolute value of if it is not equals to 2, then answer is not possible. So just print no and return. Else your x is gonna be minimum of these two value, right? You may have x equals to -1 only. The reason being, let's say the array is already palindrome, so always this condition will be holding good and you'll come out of the loop. So in that case, your x remains -1. That's the reason I have initialized with -1. So if it is the case, definitely you don't need to do any operation. It's already palindrome. And yeah, else we have to check the palindrome. Since x we have already got, so I'll make sure 2 times I'll be running. I'll tell you why. Uh, and inside x I'll be increasing by 1. First thing first, I'll be checking with the minimum value of x as I told you in the iPad, and then the middle value will be doing. So middle value is basically x plus 1 only. So yeah, now I'll move to every element of the array and I'll take left val, which is v of I, right val, which is v of n minus 1 minus I, right? Both the left and right elements have taken. Now I'll have to check if left val is lesser than or equals to x, then your left val is gonna increase. Else left val is gonna decrease. Similarly with the right? Yeah. And now we have to check after doing operation if the L val not equals to right val, which means here the palindrome will not be possible. So make sure you have one variable here defined saying bool is palindrome. Initially, let's tell key it's a palindrome, but later we figure out it's not a palindrome. Once any single pair we have and it's not equal, so definitely it's not a palindrome. So we don't need to check the other pairs. So just break out of the loop. Once you are coming out of the loop, you need to check if it's palindrome. So which means you have got answer, else you will be checking for the other x, right? The middle value of x, and you'll be doing the same thing. Okay, let's say in the first operation only, I mean, no, whatever x you have chosen, you have got palindrome. This line is not executed, which means this x was valid and we've got answer. So in that case, we need to print yes and just return. Okay, oh, else we can say since this line is not executed, which means we have not got the palindrome. For both x values, there are certain pairs which is not equal, so we need to print no. Let's try to run it. The sample test cases are running. Let's try to submit. So yeah, it got accepted. Let's try to analyze the time and space complexity. So if we see the algorithm, this for loop is executing just n by 2 times. Once we get the x, we had here two for loops basically. So it was running over n time. So here the time complexity is linear and the space complexity is constant because we are not using any extra space. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video.